What's up everybody, it's Matt from Peter Glenn, and in this video we're going to talk to you about skim versus surf style wake surfers. What exactly is the difference? What's the best for you? Let's check this out. All right, so the good news is no matter what wake surfer you buy, they're all meant to do essentially the same thing. They're meant to get you up on top of the water, riding on the wake, and following the boat around without holding onto a rope. But as you do get better at wake surfing, there are different styles of wake surfing and there are different boards for doing different things. And sometimes people do have both styles. They might feel like doing a skim style riding one day and a surf style riding the other day, but knowing the difference between the two can make a big difference when you are trying to figure out which board you want to buy. So starting off with the skim style board, and this is basically based off of skim boards. And if you're not sure what skim boards are, you've probably seen it on TV or in some videos. And it's where somebody is running along the beach and they have a really flat board, very similar shape to this, and they'll throw it down and jump on that little skim of water that has come up from a wave that has crashed on the beach. Now these are very similar, and you're going to be doing a lot of the similar tricks that those guys do on the beach. You're just going to be doing them behind the boat. What differs these from a skim board is, one, they're a little bit thicker. You're going to be wanting to stay up on top of the water a little bit more. You're going to want a little bit more buoyancy. Those traditional skim boards, those you're just going to be on the water for a few seconds before you kind of sink in. This, you're going to be following the boat around, so you're going to want to stay up as long as possible. And that extra volume gives you that extra float that you need. Also with this, you're going to notice there is a fin on the back, and it is a very short fin. This is something that you can pop loose a little bit easier. Usually on skim boards, a lot of the stuff they do is going out on the waves, kind of surfing around a little bit like a surfboard, but a lot of times they're spinning around or they're kind of flipping the board around and doing what they call shove-its, where the board kind of flips around underneath your feet and then you end up landing on the board with the tail in the front. But a lot of those things are very similar to what you're going to be doing on the wake. So we want that extra hold just so we can surf it on the wake and stay on the water, but we want to be able to pop that thing loose so we can do a lot of those similar tricks. But really that's kind of what those skim style wake surfers are for. They're for going out, not only surfing the wake, but spinning around and doing those tricks where you're staying on the water most of the time. All right, then getting into your surf style boards, this is exactly what it sounds like. These are for surfing the wake, kind of that surfboard style shape and look to them. Very directional, so we obviously have a very specific nose and a very specific tail. Then also a lot of these boards do tend to be a lot thicker through the middle, so you get a lot more volume. This basically gives you more float. So you can actually have a little bit shorter board that has that extra thickness and has that extra float to keep you up on top of the water, so you can really carve around easily. Also, when we look at the back, you're going to notice that there is going to be a multi-fin setup, and those fins are going to be much deeper. So those are meant to lock you into the water and really give you all the hold. So when you are surfing on the wake and you're cutting back and forth, the board's not going to kick out from underneath you. This is something where you want the board to stay down in the water unless you're carving up to the lip and you're popping it off of the lip. You want to make sure you get all that edge hold all the way up the lip, and then as soon as you pop into the air and you land back on the wave, you get all of that extra hold to help lock you in and keep you where you need to be on the wake. And then also going right along with that surf style feel, you notice that this thing has a lot more rocker to it. You're gonna have that rocker up in the nose, but it is gonna continue into the tail a little bit more. And having a little bit more rocker, you're gonna be able to make tighter, harder turns when you're on the wake, going back and forth and really going up and down and slashing on the wake. But they really are for that traditional surf style. You think about what somebody does when they're surfing a surfboard on a wave, and that's exactly what this thing is meant for doing behind the boat. And then of course you can actually have a hybrid. So a lot of companies do make a few hybrid models. They're usually going to be more skim or more surf specific models, just because one of these is really not better than the other. And some people, if they want to have a skim style ride, they want that specific skim board that really performs as a skim board, and they want that surfboard that really performs as a surfboard. But not all of us can have all of those boards in our boat. Maybe you don't have the room, or maybe you just don't want to spend all the money to have multiple boards, and that's where these hybrids come into play. So you'll notice right off the bat, the shape of this, it's very similar to the skim board. It is a little bit more directional, a little bit more pointy nose, a little bit more blunted tail on this thing, but it does have that similar shape to the skim board. So if you do want to pop this thing around, ride it backwards, you can for a few seconds before you right this thing and get it back to where the tail is in the back. And if you look at the side of this thing, you'll notice that it is a little bit thicker than a standard skim board. It's not quite as thick as the surfboard, but again, this is a hybrid, so it's kind of a cross between the two. It's gonna have a little bit more volume, so it is gonna sit a little bit higher and it's gonna float a little bit easier than a traditional skim board. It's also gonna have a rocker line that's somewhat in between the two boards. And then when we look at the tail, at the fins here, you'll notice that it has a multi-fin setup similar to the surfboard, but those outer fins are the big hooked fins, and then that center fin is a little bit shorter, more of a skim style fin. So this gives you the option to not only carve really hard with a 3-fin setup, or you can take the center fin out and kind of get the 2-fin surf setup, but you can take these outer fins off and just run the single center fin to get that nice, easy, loose, playful feel of a traditional skim board. But you can see these boards are a great option for those people that just want to have one board, but they want to be able to kind of do everything. It's kind of the jack of all trades, master of none. And when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, one of these boards is not better than the other. This is not better than the skim. It's not better than the surf. Likewise, the surf is not better than either of the skim or the hybrid. It really just depends on your personal preference and what's going to work best for your needs. But if you got any questions about anything that we talked about in this video, definitely leave some comments down below. We're on there every single day trying to answer those questions. We want to make sure we can get you into some rad gear, but most importantly, we want to make sure that it's going to fit you and it's going to fit your needs behind the boat. Also, make sure to like, subscribe, and definitely get that notification bell on too so you can find out when all the new videos drop. And head over to peterglenn.com, find the right wake surfer to fit you and to fit all the people in your family and what they want to do behind the boat, and get out and ride, because any day of riding is a good day of riding.